Bridging gaps, gender's role in technology and hospitality. We have some exciting conversation ahead of us. We're gonna debunk some myths. We are going to talk about AI. We're gonna talk about gender and then make some predictions. So I have an amazing panel here today. As Harriet said, please feel free to drop any questions in the chat. But I'm going to let the panel introduce themselves. So I'm going to start with you, Sue Graves, and you're going to also give us a debunk a myth.
Yeah, Sue Graves with Experience Alive. I went into consulting after 29 years with Marriott Hotels and then convention center work as well. But I think a lot of people think technology is hard. And I'm going to debunk that myth because nowadays it might have previously been hard, but nowadays with cloud-based integration and API integration, it's a lot easier now, and the technology is much more intuitive than previous. So it's easier to learn, it's easier to implement throughout your organization, and I know this because I work with a lot of companies that are integrating really cool solutions right now, and it's a lot easier than it previously has been. So I'm debunking that myth that technology is hard.
All right, keeping it easy. Dina, how about you? Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Dina Belon. I'm the president of Staypineapple Hotels. We are a boutique hotel company. We have 10 hotels throughout the U.S., from Seattle to New York, all urban city center, central business district hotels. We're also, as a boutique hotels, we're very hyper personalized. So our model is really around building relationships with our guests, getting them to fall in love with us and be pineapple evangelists. And people think that because we're so high touch and so human oriented that we're very tech light, which I will debunk today, talking about AI. I think companies can do both. We can have a high tech or a really proactive technology stack that is very aligned to your business model, and really be cutting edge on both sides of the fence. The humans and the robots can work together, is my point.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And what everyone seems to be heading towards is that it's going to allow hospitality to be more hospitable. So with that, Melissa.
Hi, family. Hey, everybody. Melissa Jurkoic, Chief Experience Officer here at Thynk. Been in the hospitality tech space and in tech in general for a lot longer than I like to admit, because it's going to date me. So I'm not going to share that here, but I'm sure some of you know that. I love what Sue said, because I always say often, basically to anybody that will listen to me, that tech is the easy part, right? The hard part is the problem. So I think, like, if we stay in the problem space, I often say to my team, love the problem just a little bit longer, because we'll find that we might be solving the wrong problem because tech is so easy, right? And it's moving so fast. So the myth that I'm going to debunk today is the fact that, and someone asked me this question once, so I thought it was a really thought-provoking question. It was, Melissa, do you think the tech that we're building today will be obsolete in like 3 to 5 years, for the sheer reason that the technology landscape is just moving so fast, right? So is what we build today sustainable? Is it going to last? Sort of like, should we spend so much time on it because in 3 to 5 years, no one's going to use this tech anymore anyway? So I thought long and hard about that question. And I think there's a myth that what we build today will be obsolete. And the myth is surrounded around adoption, which is a big focus of our conversation today, right? So humans, us right here, we adopt technology. We are the users. And so we are the reasons why what we build today will not be obsolete in 3 to 5 years. Those of you that are from the hospitality industry, you may have systems in your ecosystem that are somewhere between 30 and 50 years old. That sounds crazy, right? So I think right there, it debunks the myth that the tech we're building today, despite how fast tech is moving, and that's not just this industry, across industries, it will not become obsolete. And that's because of the humans. That's the absolute reason why.
I mean, yeah, it is amazing that there is so much legacy technology, which is why this conversation is so exciting. And now with the precipice of AI really becoming integrated, I mean, what do you think? Is this an opportunity, AI? And then also, how is it, is there a gender component to it as well? Let's have Dina start off with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll kind of start off with some examples since we're the hotel company on the panel. I'll give you how we're actually using AI today. Currently, we try to take a lot of the transaction off of the team so that they can do that hyper-personalized service. Obviously, that model takes a lot of time and energy. So we send confirmation emails, we generate guest arrival reports, we get detailed profile information for the team members to be able to understand the guests that are arriving. We send credit card authorization links to quickly and easily do the financial transactions. And one of the more interesting ones we're doing right now is generating review responses. I have to admit that I was a little wiggly about this one when we started it. I was concerned because we have a goal at Staypineapple to respond to 95% of all reviews on all platforms, which is a lot of reviews, good ones and negative ones. So our team does get tired of trying to say the same thing in a different way. So AI has really been able to help us with that a lot. And I'll give you a quick example. So here's a guest review. The room was small, but oh so comfortable. The bed was amazing. The staff was friendly. I was on the 8th floor with the original windows. This is a historic building we have, but there was no shades or shears. I closed the curtains to sleep, but the room didn't have enough light. So some positive, some negative. The human response was, thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. We appreciate your time here. Our team members were so excited to see you enjoy the company and the hotel. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Nice response, right? But here's the chat pineapple response. It brings us immense joy to hear that our staff made a wonderful impression on you and you found the beds comfortable and the room to be exceptional. We take pride in maintaining our historic charm of our building, and it delights us that you appreciate the wonderful windows on the 8th floor. We apologize for the inconvenience, blah, blah, blah. And then the end part that I love, hopefully any unexpected views were met with the same warmth and hospitality that Staypineapple defines, with a smiley face. And we look forward to your next stay where we can provide you even better service. So you can see the AI really took our voice. So a really, really important part here is that this is our AI. Chat Pineapple is completely proprietary to us and we train it. So Robin is on this call and could reinforce the fact that he loaded over 8,000 of our human responses into our AI to start teaching it how we say things. So you'll see keywords in here that are very pineapple-y in what the AI came back with. In particular, the kind of cheeky, we're sorry that the neighbors could see you naked, but hopefully we'll do better next time, right? Said it in a cute way and with a little smiley face, but that's our brand. We're very cheeky, right? So we have a door hanger that says, I'm naked. We're not afraid to be a little edgy sometimes. So AI can absolutely help and absolutely elevate our team members' ability to respond in a very on-brand way and really make sure that they capture all of the components of the guest response. I think as I'm reviewing our team's responses, that's probably the area that we struggle the most is making sure we address each one of the guests' comments that they made, negative and positive. A few of the future ideas are kind of exciting. API integration with Review Pro, which is where we consolidate all of our reviews so that we'll be able to have a conversation with Chat Pineapple and say, hey, what are the top 3 things that the guests most like about the Maxwell Hotel? Or how many guests complained about Wi-Fi last month? And show me 10 examples. So literally we'll be able to have a conversation with Chat Pineapple. And then we're also working diligently on accessing really kind of what we're calling Staypineapple Wiki, or our knowledge base. So really being able to have employees ask Chat Pineapple, you know, hey, I don't remember how to input this thing into Thynk. How do I do that? And Chat Pineapple will come up with the answer. The last thing I will tell you about AI is the flip side of the coin, which is really important to us, that we don't integrate AI where it could be a detriment. So, for example, in our human resources department, we're not utilizing AI in recruiting, specifically because we have a very clear diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging stance. And AI has I hate to overstate it, but AI could create a situation where people are being filtered out because they don't have the technical expertise, and we hire much more for attitude than we do aptitude. We can teach people how to do what they need to do. What we want is to hire people that align to our culture. So by doing that more laborious kind of human-centric process, we're able to really meet the expectations that we have as a company to have a diverse workforce. For example, our general managers, we have 70% female general managers and 40% people of color. On our property level operating management teams, we have 62% women and 59% people of color. So it's really important for us that we represent the population in our markets. And so that's one area that we've chosen very purposefully not to include AI.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, you've covered so many different steps. I'm just curious as to one thing, was the implementation of, and we're going to talk about this later, but when you trained it with the 8,000 guest reviews, how long did that process take to get your AI assistant with the responding function?
Yeah, it took months, and Robin is certainly welcome to correct me if I'm wrong, but we actually have an in-house programmer that is working on this and has spent months, and it's an ongoing process. The Chat Pineapple is not perfect yet. It will take more time to really dial in and make sure we get it exactly the way we want it, and maybe we'll never get it perfect. Not long, too long. Loading reviews. Yeah. Took a long time to get them up there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So, but it's an ongoing process, and I think Chat Pineapple is definitely our in-house robot that we continue to train.
Yeah. I'm going to pass it to Melissa now, but I just think how the efficiency of that is just amazing. So well done.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a huge opportunity in lots of different places. I'm reading a book by Simon Sinek. Some of you guys might know Leaders Eat Last, so I'm loving it right now. And it just so happens that yesterday I read this one chapter that was all about trust and how trust is a very special human experience. And it's because it's actually fueled by oxytocin that we experience when someone does something in service of us for safety or protection, right? So the reason why I'm saying that, there's a reason, not to get philosophical, it's that trust is a human experience, right? You can only have trust between two humans. It's not possible to trust technology. We rely on it. We love it. Maybe sometimes we don't love it. We are much more efficient by it, but we do not trust it. You cannot trust it. That's not what trust is. Like if we go back to like the base definition of what trust is, it is a very special human experience. So what does that mean? It means that we need humans still to connect and have that experience. So I think it's more like, how does that tech help us? And I think, Dina, what you just described was awesome, right? It's like exactly all the different instances that Staypineapple is leveraging tech to enhance and help that trust experience. I've heard really great anecdotes, just, you know, talking with other customers and hearing things at different panels. People are using AI to train their employees and their staff. And I think that's a really interesting next step too and it's not that they're training them to be robots. What they're doing is giving them confidence and seeing the repeatability of patterns, right? So yes, of course, the human experience is dynamic and every guest is not the same. They are totally individual in the way they react to something you say or respond or the questions they ask, but also it allows them to sort of practice in a way, especially if we have staff that are emerging in the next generation. Like how do we get people onboarded at a much more like reliable rate and create the best experience for guests, where they feel like, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. And so I've heard a lot of examples of where people are leveraging AI to do that, to train, you know, to Dina's point, like you can't have a large language model that is just something you surface off the internet. Please don't do that. It's a very, very bad idea. That is exactly where bias comes in, right? Because it only is as smart as what it knows. And we all know there's a lot of things on the internet that we probably shouldn't know. So we don't want to use a large language model that's based on just things that are not special or unique or proprietary to us. So that's really important. So that's I've seen that gain tremendous efficiencies and also like consistency and experience. And it allows your brand, like Dina, your example is great, right? Your brand to come through when sometimes it's not the other person on the line, but also training the other people so that they can kind of understand this is how we respond to these things and get that practice.
Yeah. I mean, amazing. Because, you know, training and consistency, I mean, those are two things that, you know, you can really see how AI can bring advantages. Sue, what do you say? I mean, what you've worked across, you could give us more of a meta look at it in terms of, you know, many companies. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, I've interviewed over 400 companies in the last 21 months about looking for the very best affordable solutions that are easy to integrate and modernize the industry and help the industry honestly be able to address the highest needs that they have right now and add value for the customer and guest experience as well as the employee experience. And I work with several companies that utilize AI to from onboarding, cutting onboarding time by 80% using AI. A large enterprise organization implemented this with their first 200 hotels and cut onboarding time by 40% in less than 6 weeks. It'll reach up to 80% as it learns. And Melissa referred, as well as Dina referred to large language models. That's some of you might have heard the terminology LLMs. That's what that stands for. Those LLMs actually learn from your guests. I work with another company that can divert over 60% of calls off the front desk, improving the guest satisfaction. The desk clerks don't want to answer calls about, you know, how much does it cost for internet? And can I, you know, have my dog stay? And all the repetitive questions that occur naturally, which is fine for the guests to ask those questions. That's normal. However, is there an AI solution? Yes, there is. I found one that actually can divert those repetitive questions, allowing that desk staff to focus on the customer in front of them. So when we talk about how do we use AI to improve the guest experience, this also improves the employee experience. So there's a very large 1,000-room hotel that just implemented this. They have diverted 74% of their calls off the front desk, allowing that interaction with the guest to improve the guest experience, improve the employee experience. The employees are happier from an employee satisfaction standpoint. The guests are getting serviced faster, and the employees are working at a higher value for the hotel. They're addressing, people issues that AI can't address. And that's where we want our people. And that's how we need to use AI and think about AI. What can be taken off the plate that's repetitive, allowing our staff to work at a higher level for our organization and meet the expectations of the guests and make for a happier employee experience as well. So those are just a few. And training and development is one that's really big. I work with a company that uses AI and machine learning for training, actually empowers the employee to learn on their own. What I mean is learn on their own time. So gone are the days where you get everybody in a room training at 1 o'clock. We don't have time for that anymore. I'm sorry, but we don't have time for it anymore. So what would it look like if you had an AI machine learning solution that allowed you to take your training when you want, where you want it, how you want it, and you get feedback within 2 minutes? Okay. Now, when you talk about biases, your bosses have biases. Okay. Let's face it, like, we're human. We come from different backgrounds, culturally, value systems that we're brought up with. So, there are biases that take place naturally now with people. People have biases. That's why you're seeing it on the internet, because people are typing things from their perspective. Well, what this AI ML does, machine learning, is it allows you to, it can actually address look at the tone of your voice, the speed of your voice, can tell whether you have a smile in your voice, can give you feedback in 2 minutes. Then you can retake the training until you perfect it. The founder actually is a female founder, and I support a lot of female founders. I'm part of FFIH, which is Female Founders in Hospitality. There's about 100 women that have founded companies that are directly working with the hospitality industry to modernize it and improve it. And so I'm part of that group now, which is very exciting, and to be a part of a group of other females that really are jumping right in there and have a passion for hospitality. But Greta is her name, and she actually had a brain injury herself. And while she was recovering from her brain injury, she studied how the brain learns, how adults learn, how can I learn faster? And, we think that as adults, we learn differently than kids, but we really don't. That's why TikTok is so popular, about to get kicked out of the US, but very popular because people learn in small bites. Whether you're an adult or a child, you're learning in small bites. And so, this AI ML, and learn by repetition. So this AI ML training and development program actually helps people learn by repetition and can increase any KPI in any organization by 21% in less than 45 days. So hotels that have hotels in the red zone where they need extra training for their desk staff, their CEOs, their managers on property, they take this and they're jumping out of the red zone in less than 45 days. So there are real solutions and real problems that are being solved with AI right now.
Wow, that is
Very
so
exciting.
impressive. That's amazing. Really. Well, since you brought up female founders, which I'm also a member of,
Yes.
let's take a minute to talk about, women and the implementation of technology on property. Also, it seems like women are using technology to solve problems, which is great to see. And then, in the selection of procurement as well. Dina, maybe you want to talk about that first.
Yeah, we are currently in the midst of a intensive tech stack changeover. We're switching our PMS, our CRM, and our housekeeping technology all at the same time because Robin talked us into it. I should have said before, I keep mentioning him, he's our CIO. So, I really only felt comfortable going forward with such a massive changeover for our organization because we have implemented a silo crushing model as a business. So we implemented a senior leadership team that is quite large into our organization last year, which is really designed around making decisions across departments and not within a department. So historically, there had been a long-standing issue within our organization that great ideas bubbled up at the home office and they got thrown over the wall at the hotels. And the hotels went, okay, what am I supposed to do with this pile of doo-doo? Because they didn't understand what the value was, why we were doing it, how we were doing it, all of the important questions. So one of the things that I think we have done exceptionally well this time, and we're seeing it play out in this implementation, is everybody had a voice. We had front desk managers, we had general managers, we had people here at the home office that work in offices that do clickety work. We had everybody, accounting, everybody in every department working on what were the right decisions, looking at how we were going to implement things, making sure that all the views were being taken into account. And that made for a much better and much more seamless implementation. That obviously isn't just about tech stack. That is a change that we have made culturally within our organization. And I think it's fair to say that that is a more female-oriented, way of working, less hierarchical, less departmentally oriented, more cross-collaborative. Men are great at it as well. I'm not saying girls are the only ones that can do it, but it is definitely, I think, an interesting view of my predecessor was a more traditional organizational person, and he was a male. And I think he had a much more hierarchical vision of the company. Our owner is a woman as well. And I think our ability to take a step back and really look at who we are as a company and then align our culture to that quirky brand. Like, why are we stuffy and hierarchical at the home office when we have an I'm naked door hanger and the naked experience and kick-ass cocktails and big-ass cakes? And right, like, that's who we are. We should represent who we are internally and externally the same. So I think it's been a really interesting time for us to have a change in leadership at the top and a tech stack change out at the same time, and to be able to kind of see what the intersection of those changes are causing. Hopefully causing good, productive, and positive change within the organization. We'll see when we're done in June. So when we can have another call in June, and I'll give you a report on whether it's going as well as it is right now, and we think it will.
Wow, amazing. Melissa, I saw you smiling on the collaboration comments. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agreed that it's sort of a stereotype, but I think it's founded in historic data that tells us that, I mean, women are naturally maternal. Again, that's not every single woman in the world. I'm not making that generalization. I'm just saying as a gender demographic. And I think, looking historically, like we just have always been communal, right? Like we've always sort of raised families and communities over history and like worked within communities. So collaboration and community is like sort of innate, if you will. Again, I know this is a huge stereotype and maybe divisive in some contexts, but for me, it's definitely true, right? And I think that also means that, and sometimes to our own detriment, I raise my hand to this, I'm sure Dina and Sue will agree, to my own detriment, I think of others and put others above myself, right? So kind of always looking across, how are my actions going to impact other people? How is this going to affect other people? You know, sort of replaying, if you will, to everything that's happened and like, what was my role in that? You know, I think that is something that we as women bring to the table. And so when it comes to like tech and adoption, the important side effect of that is that we're thinking about, okay, we're talking about this new tech, sounds awesome, sounds like it has all the features we need. Wow, Thynk is amazing, but who's going to use it? And how are they going to use it? And what are they using today? How different is it from what they're using today? That's change management. Are we all good with that? Like, have we talked to the actual people that are going to be using it? And so we have like empathy for all the different stakeholders in the situation, not just like the executive stakeholder and the bottom line, right? So hugely important, but sometimes I call the user the forgotten stakeholder in a lot of these large digital transformation projects because it's so easy to forget them. But guess what? They are the reason, remember the myth I busted, they're the reason why the tech that you have that you're trying to get rid of, that you're not going to be able to get rid of because of those end users. So I think like, I believe, it's my belief that gender plays a role in that because we bring that set of empathetic approach to it so that we are thinking of other people. Even putting aside our own vested interests, if we are the proponent of the technology change on the leadership side and we're super excited about it, kind of even being able to be objective and take a step back and say, okay, hold on. Is this the right holistic change? Who is it impacting? Our customers, our employees, et cetera, et cetera. So I do think, and I've seen that in play, and I'm sure, Dina, that's a big part of what you guys are doing at Staypineapple too.
Certainly, we've seen that in Hertelier when we interview women leaders, that getting buy-in from the people who are impacted is something that successful leaders talk about a lot. Sue, I mean, what's your thoughts on, you know, again, with a broader scope on women and the role and adaptation and procurement?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, I work with a lot of women and men in sharing solutions. I would have to say, in my experience doing what I'm doing now, women seem more open to listening to, you know, the new stuff that's coming and how they might be able to fit that into their organization, stepping back and kind of taking it in and being listeners. And, you know, again, this is not, you know, this is very generalizing here. So not trying to put people in a box. For sure. A lot of the men that I work with, they're just fine, just rolling along with exactly the way things are, unless corporate tells them they have to change. It's actually kind of funny. I didn't think about it till we started pulling this together, but I think, you know, women for the most part are, you know, generally multitaskers. You know, if you think about, you know, raising kids and, you know, trying to take care of chores and getting the kids here and there. I mean, men are stepping up a lot more than they previously did, but women just have this sort of natural ability to be able to think about a lot of things at one time. And I think that the empathy that Melissa spoke about and Dina's predecessor and how business was done, you know, really lends itself to understanding that, you know, women do kind of step back and take it all in and look at more a circular view rather than a linear view of technology and the implementation of that and the impact of that on the organization. I think, you know, with that said, I that's the role that females play is a very important one in the technology integration in a company, because they'll look at all the spaces and places, and a lot of men are just like, hey, let's get this tech implemented. You know, very linear. You know, so stepping back is a good thing. You know.
I think you've just busted another myth that women aren't as into tech as guys are, that guys are more into tech than women. So you kind of brought in another myth that we've just busted right there.
There you go.
Hey, Emily, I think there's another interesting point here, which is the opposite side of the coin. I was recently listening to a TED Talk about the difference in women and men and kind of where women leadership, and the speaker made the point that boys are taught at a very young age to jump off the monkey bars and be brave and not be afraid. And women are taught to be perfectionists as a child, as a little girl. We're taught to be perfect and always have everything in the right place. And so I think we do have to be careful as women to not overdo getting everybody's opinion and getting everybody on board,
Right.
and getting right. And at some point say, okay, I'm in charge and this is the decision we're going to make and this is what we're going to do and we're going to move forward. So it's a two-sided coin, I think.
Yeah,
Totally.
consensus, but only to a point, and then
Yeah.
Exactly. Fail fast, right?
Yeah.
Fail fast.
Well, we're getting to what I think is probably one of the most exciting bits of the call, and that's predictions for the future. And what do we think is going to happen with technology and the future? Sue, I'm going to let you start first.
Yeah, this is great. Great topic, great question. Technology since the pandemic is moving at like 7x what it used to. We're at a very interesting intersection between hospitality and its use of technology. That intersection of hospitality and technology. We have many factors that are playing into this. One being labor shortage. Labor shortage is going to continue. The fertility rates are down. Japan and Spain are probably their population will, in the next decade, will be cut in half. Their APAC region is really feeling it. I've been to Korea a couple times. I'm going back there. And in Korea, they have adopted technology very, very easily because there's nobody available to do the job. So it's interesting when you travel to other countries where the labor shortage is actually worse than the United States, and we think we have it bad. And the integration of technology is moving so fast. There are robots in the airport that are offering to carry your bag to the gate for you. The other thing that we have going on, in addition to the labor shortage, is we have an aging labor population. So people doing the work are a very aging population. The average age of a housekeeper right now is 48 years old. So if you think about the aging population, that's very physically demanding. So how can we implement robotics to help support lengthening the life of an employee at work? We want to keep them working, but we also, in our industry, are the fourth leading industry for injuries. So how is AI, how is machine learning, how are robotics being used to help reduce injuries in our organizations? And when I talk about the interesting intersection between hospitality and technology, we also have a very high wage rate right now. Our wage rate year over year has grown almost 8%. So, it used to be, wow, technology is so expensive, we can't afford to do it. Well, now we're at this really interesting intersection where, you've got the labor shortage, you've got an aging population, and now you've got very high cost of doing business from a labor standpoint. And technology is cheap. It's really coming down. It's very affordable now, and makes a lot of sense to be a helper for the associate and make the associate's job better, help our associates last longer in our businesses. So I think, from that standpoint, my final words on this is, let the technology take care of the repetitive tasks that cause the injuries and make employees hate their jobs, and let the employees deal with high value guest issues, which is why they got into the industry, is to help customers, to talk with customers, and to have fun. So if we can take that repetitive task off of them using AI, ML, and robotics, they'll stay longer, they'll be happier, they'll not get injured, and maybe we can calm down this aging population and keep them at work longer with us, and really have great experiences in hospitality continue.
Well, it sounds like, Dina, you're already kind of a head start on doing some of that. So maybe you want to chime in with your prediction now.
Yeah, I think for us, and I hope the hospitality sector as a whole, I have seen some startling movement in some hotel brands to eliminate positions and to put in place technology. And I think that that's the wrong approach. I think the approach should be to eliminate as much transaction as possible. So instead of having a kiosk in the lobby that I can check in, I should just be able to check in on my phone the day before. And if I don't want to talk to somebody, then I should be able to just move through the lobby, and I don't need to interface with anything. Obviously, we're probably going to stop you at some point because we want to get to know you and chit chat and talk with you, hopefully. But I think really a human-centric technology solution is where we're going, and that's my prediction. I think the brands that have taken the approach to try to have no humans in the lobby, and you just move through the building and you don't ever interface with somebody, is probably going to be a trend. I think that's the place where hoteliers have to be careful, is don't lose who you are as a brand to chase technology. Make the technology work for you and the way you function as a brand. And then don't chase trendy things. Don't, oh, this is this cool new little thing. People are going to love it because they're going to love interacting with the thing. Well, you shouldn't be making decisions on people interacting with technology. You should be making decisions on people interacting with your staff, and the technology should support them. And I think that that's where we'll continue to go.
Yeah, that's a great one. Melissa, you want to wrap it up? We haven't got any last chance for questions. Come on, we got three amazing brainy ladies talking about tech. If you have any questions, pop them in now, and I'll let Melissa give her prediction while you guys type.
So, I mean, like I said, in the intro, right, I've been a technologist. I don't think I said how long, but I'll just say it, 3 decades plus maybe at this point. So I'm I love tech, right? I love it. But even, we've talked a lot today about silos of different types. And I'm a firm believer, especially in our industry, that tech has actually created silos. I mean, it's just an approach. It sort of has branched out. We've gone through best of breed. We've collapsed. We went back best of breed. So my prediction is there will be someone that cracks the code to solve this so that we can unite the silos, because I think everyone desperately needs it. And the people that need it most are the reason why this industry exists, which are the humans, to Dina's point, right? Like the human experience is why everybody's in the hospitality industry, exactly what Sue was saying. People aren't there to click buttons and levers. They're there to interact with people because they love when people have a great experience. That is what the industry is founded on. So it's going to make sense at some point that I don't know how we have got to this stage where tech is so easy, right? We've been saying like tech is not the hard part. We've arrived, but we still can't have a connected journey for a traveler. It's not possible. It's mind blowing, right? Like across everything from the car to the airline to the hotel to the experience you have, it's still so disconnected, right? Which just speaks to there's amazing innovation that's happening, but it's happening in pockets. It's not happening holistically. So my theory is, my prediction is that someone's going to crack this code. My other prediction is it's probably going to be a woman. Just saying.
Ooh, bold. Wow. Round of applause. Didn't get any questions in, but I'm sure they'll be emailing. But thank you, Sue, Dina, Melissa. Thank you, Thynk.